Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt like your own mind is your greatest enemy? Like no matter how far you run, it follows you, tormenting you with old memories, imaginary fears, and silent battles. No one else can see you smile in public, but inside your thoughts scream louder than any crowd you try to sleep. But your mind keeps replaying what you can't change. You know what peace looks like, but you just don't know how to reach it. Let me tell you something bold, something that may shake you. You don't have a broken life. You have an undisciplined mind. And once you master it, everything in your life begins to change. They never told you the real battle was inside your head, not in the economy, not in your enemies, not even in your past. It's in that quiet room between your ears, the one no one else sees, but everyone else feels you can smile on the outside while you're dying on the inside. You can look successful yet be at war with yourself every single night. Let me ask you a question that might just haunt you until you answer it. If your mind were a house, who lives there? Is it your fears, your past, someone who hurt you 10 years ago? Is it that voice that says you're not enough? That whisper that says you'll always fail because someone is living in your mind entry, controlling your peace, your focus, your energy, your life. And unless you take back the keys, you will continue to suffer behind a smiling mask. You're not tired because of what you're doing. You're tired because of what you're thinking. Your body isn't weak, your thoughts are heavy. And until you learn to master your mind will master you. There is no prison more tormenting than an uncontrolled mind. It will replay the past until you can't see the future. It will create storms that don't exist. It will turn friends into enemies, hope into fear, peace into paranoia. The scariest thing about the human mind is that it will believe whatever you tell it, especially if you repeat it enough times, and yet most people spend more time organizing their closets than they do organizing their thoughts. They'll clean their homes for guests, but they leave the mind filthy with negative thoughts, envy, imaginary arguments, and regrets. And then they wonder why they can't sleep, why they wake up drained, why they sabotage their own blessings. It's not life that's attacking them, it's their own thoughts. You were not born with a broken mind. Somewhere along the way, you allowed your thoughts to become your master. You let pain build a throne in your mind and rule like a dictator. You let doubt become your compass. You let rejection become your identity. But that ends today, because when you learn to control your mind, you learn to control your world. Imagine just for a moment being able to feel chaos around you and still remain calm within you. Imagine waking up and not dreading the day. Imagine walking into rooms and not shrinking, not comparing, not replaying past mistakes. Imagine hearing the voice of fear and telling it, "You're not welcome here anymore." That's not a fantasy. That's the power of a trained mind. But make no mistake, your mind is not your enemy. It's a tool. And like any tool, it can build or destroy. The hammer can build a house or smash it to pieces. The fire can warm a home or burn it down. The mind can be a sanctuary or a slaughterhouse. And what makes the difference? Who's holding it? Let me be clear. Controlling your mind doesn't mean ignoring pain. It doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means learning to filter your thoughts. Not every thought deserves your energy. Not every memory needs to be relived. Not every fear needs to be fed. The first step to taking control is becoming aware of what you've allowed to grow in the soil of your mind. What thoughts are you watering? Some of you are watering gardens of anxiety because every morning you wake up and immediately feed your mind with worry. You reach for your phone, scroll through fear, compare yourself to strangers and call it normal. That's not normal. That's conditioning. You don't have to believe every thought you think. Not everything your mind tells you is true. In fact, many of your thoughts are not your own. They are echoes of someone else's pain that you adopted as truth. Some of you are still living out thoughts planted by people who didn't know your worth. A parent who spoke through their own trauma, a teacher who doubted you, a friend who betrayed you, and yet those voices still whisper, still dictate your choices, still sit at the head of the table in the home of your mind. You must evict them. This will not be easy because the mind clings to the familiar, even if the familiar is killing you. Pain that's known feels safer than peace that's unfamiliar. That's why many people stay in toxic patterns, because even if they're suffering, at least they understand it. But freedom only comes when you are brave enough to break the cycle. Here's the truth. No one can do this for you. Not your friends, not your family, not a therapist. They can guide you, they can support you, but the inner war, that's yours to win, and you can win it, because your mind is not broken, it's just untrained. And anything untrained can be taught. Even the most chaotic mind can be restructured with enough repetition, focus, and discipline. So how do you do it? You start by guarding the gate. Your mind is like a fortress, and you must become its gatekeeper. Every thought is a visitor knocking at your door. You must ask who sent you. What do you want? What will you leave behind? If a thought comes bearing fear, shame, bitterness, don't let it in. If it offers peace, clarity, growth, invite it to stay. You must also be careful with what you feed your mind. Just as your body becomes what you eat, your mind becomes what you consume. If you constantly ingest negativity, gossip, chaos, comparison, you are feeding the very thoughts that are destroying you. You cannot binge fear and expect peace to grow. You cannot drink poison and wonder why you feel sick every day. You must consciously plant thoughts that empower you. Speak to yourself with strength, even when you don't feel strong. Repetition is reprogramming. Even if you don't believe the words at first, say them anyway. Your mind doesn't know the difference between truth and repetition. It only knows what it hears the most. So tell it, I am capable. I am calm. I am not my past. I choose peace. I reject fear. There is no magic switch. This is a process. It is work. You will fall. You will be tempted to go back to old thought patterns because they feel familiar. But keep going. Discipline is louder than doubt. Effort is stronger than fear. And one day, without even realizing it, you will wake up and realize that you are no longer a prisoner in your own mind. You are the master of it. There is power in stillness. Learn to sit with yourself. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers. Turn off the noise. Step away from the constant input. Your mind cannot breathe if it is always flooded with stimulation. Solitude is not loneliness. It is alignment. It is where you begin to hear the quiet truth that's been buried beneath years of chaos. And when the storm comes, you will not panic because you will have trained your mind to become a lighthouse, not a sponge. You will shine, not absorb. You will remain, not collapse. The waves may crash around you, but they will not control the tide within you. What does it look like to truly control your mind? It looks like walking into rooms where you were once ignored and no longer feeling the need to prove yourself. It looks like hearing an insult and realizing it says more about them than it does about you. It looks like facing a disappointment and not letting it define your worth. It looks like being at peace even when nothing around you makes sense. That is not delusion. That is mental power. The world will not stop throwing distractions at you, but you get to decide what you catch. You get to decide what stays. And once you understand that, you reclaim your strength. This life is too precious to be lived as a slave to thoughts that don't serve you. There is no greater victory than becoming the master of your own mind. Because once you do, no one, not even life itself, can shake you from your place of inner power. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. You are the sculptor, the director, the builder. And you hold the chisel every day with every thought you accept or reject. You are shaping your reality. You cannot heal a mind you keep abandoning. You cannot conquer a battlefield you refuse to enter. Too many people are losing a war simply because they refuse to fight it. They're waiting for peace to magically arrive, not realizing that peace is not found, is forged. It is a reward of intentional mental discipline, not the absence of problems. Peace is not the calm around you. It is a command within you. And it begins when you stop reacting to every thought and start responding with authority. You must become the architect of your mental environment. Do not allow your mind to be a junkyard for every fear, every insult, every painful memory. Start renovating. Start removing. Tear down the walls of self-doubt. Pull up the floorboards of bitterness. Knock out the windows of comparison and build again, brick by brick, thought by thought, day by day. Some of you have been walking around with a storm in your mind for so long that you've forgotten what peace even feels like. You've carried anxiety like it's a badge of responsibility. You've mistaken chaos for productivity. But there is a deeper truth calling out to you. You are not meant to live in mental torment. You were not created to be at war with yourself. And hear this. Controlling your mind does not mean you never struggle. It means you learn to struggle well. It means you stop letting emotions drive the car. You acknowledge them, you honor them, but you do not obey them. You feel the fear, but still move forward. You feel the anger, but you don't speak out of it. You feel the sadness, but you don't drown in it. The uncontrolled mind is like a wild horse. It will run in every direction, drag you through the mud, exhaust you until there's nothing left. But the trained mind, oh, the trained mind, becomes a force of nature. It knows when to charge and when to rest. It knows when to speak and when to stay silent. It becomes a source of clarity in a world addicted to noise. And clarity is rare because clarity requires courage. It requires you to sit in silence and face what you've been running from, the thoughts that expose your pain, your insecurities, your old wounds. But healing never comes by hiding. Growth never comes by numbing. You must look within if you ever hope to rise above. If you want to control your mind, you must stop feeding it lies. Stop saying, I'll never be enough. Stop saying, I always mess things up. Stop saying, I'm just this way. No, you are not your patterns. You are not your history. You are what you consistently choose to become. And every time you speak over yourself, you are either building a weapon or building a wall. Speak wisely. Do not wait until your life collapses to change your thoughts. The storm does not send an invitation. The breakdown does not make a reservation. It just shows up. And in that moment, all that will matter is how well you've trained your mind to stand when everything else falls. There is a quiet kind of strength that comes from mental mastery. It's not loud. It doesn't shout or demand attention. It walks into chaos with stillness in its bones. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need validation. It knows who it is. That is the kind of person you must become. Not because life will go easy on you, but because life will not. No one escapes adversity. No one gets a free pass from betrayal, heartbreak, failure. But those who control their minds do not crumble under the weight. They grow stronger. They learn to carry it differently, not in bitterness, but in wisdom, not in panic, but in presence. And that shift, that holy shift, is what changes everything. You want to know what real power is? It's not control over others. It's not wealth. It's not fame. Real power is when you can walk through the same fire that once burned you and not even flinch. It's when the triggers no longer control your reactions. It's when the memories no longer hijack your mood. It's when the voice in your head becomes your ally, not your adversary. And the only way to get there is through consistent, intentional work every day. You must choose your thoughts like you choose your clothes, with purpose, with vision, with self-respect. Don't just throw anything on. And expect to look strong. Don't just accept any thought and expect to feel peace. Let your thoughts rise to the level of the life you want. If you want freedom, think like someone who is free. If you want peace, speak like someone who is peaceful. If you want growth, surround yourself with thoughts that demand your potential, not your comfort. And be careful, oh, be so careful what voices you allow to echo in your mind. Some people sound wise, but they plant seeds of fear. Some advice seems harmless, but it pollutes your focus. Guard your mind like it's sacred, because it is. Your thoughts are not background noise, they are blueprints. They are shaping your future every moment. What you allow in today is building the world you live in tomorrow. Choose with intention, reject with authority, filled with discipline. And you remember, thoughts have energy. They either lift you or drain you. They either push you forward or pull you back. You must become ruthless in what you allow to stay. Just because a thought knocks doesn't mean it deserves a room. Just because it enters your awareness doesn't mean it gets to live in your identity. You can observe a thought without obeying it. You can feel a fear without bowing to it. You can acknowledge the past without becoming enslaved to it. You are not your worst moment. You are not your weakest thought. You are what you rise to become after the fire, and the fire will come. Oh, yes, it will come. Life will test. Begin in the silence of your own mind when no one's watching, when everyone thinks you're fine, when the smile you wear feels heavier than the pain you carry. But those are the moments that refine you, that shape you, that test whether you've merely heard the truth or become it. Because mental strength isn't proven when everything goes right. It's revealed when everything falls apart. And you still choose clarity. You still choose peace. You still choose to believe in the future even when the present feels unbearable. This is what it means to take back your power. Not with noise, not with vengeance, but with quiet, unshakable ownership of your own mind. You become the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the temperature. You don't absorb it. You walk into chaos and choose order. You face the critic and choose stillness. You encounter fear and choose forward. And the more you choose wisely, the more natural it becomes. The weeds in your mind will begin to die. The clarity will grow. The noise will lose its power. And what remains will be something unshakable, something rare, something unbreakable. That's what lives on the other side of mind control. Keep pressing, keep building, keep rising. The victory you're looking for doesn't come from outside. It's been waiting within you all along. And let me tell you something hard but holy. You are not a victim of your thoughts, unless you allow yourself to be. You are not born with a chaotic mind. It was shaped that way by pain. You didn't deserve by words that cut deep, by people who should have protected you but didn't. But now the power is in your hands. You can reshape life, what life tried to ruin. You can reclaim the peace that trauma tried to steal. You can rebuild the fortress within your mind, one thought, one truth, one defiant decision at a time. But here's what most people don't want to hear. Controlling your mind requires painful honesty. You must get real with yourself. You must look in the mirror and say, these thoughts aren't helping me. This self-talk is sabotaging me. This inner dialogue is drowning my destiny. You can't fix what you keep justifying. You can't heal what you keep hiding behind. Excuses, and no, it's not easy, but nothing sacred is ever easy. When you start taking back your mind, don't expect applause, expect resistance from within. Your old habits will scream, your comfort zones will beg, your fears will throw a tantrum. They will say, why are you changing? We've kept you safe. But that's a lie. They've kept you small. They've kept you trapped. They've kept you walking in circles, calling it growth. But you were never made to shrink yourself just to survive. You were made to stand tall and take territory, internally first, and then externally. The battlefield of the mind is where destiny is born or buried. Some people think their life is cursed, but really, It's their mindset that's been infected. They walk around saying, "Why is everything against me?" when the real enemy is the narrative they've allowed to play on repeat. You will never rise above the level of your self-talk. You will never outgrow the limitations you nurture. If you want to walk in strength, your thoughts must align with strength. If you want to live in purpose, your mind must be ruled by purpose. It's time to stop negotiating with negative thinking. Stop entertaining thoughts that treat you like you're unworthy, like you're too late, like you're not enough. Those thoughts are trespassers, a victim. Refuse to let them sit at the table of your future. This is your territory, God. It's like your life depends on it, because it does. Every time you think a thought, you're casting a vote for the person you are becoming. If you constantly tell yourself, "I can't do this," don't be surprised when you don't. If your internal voice says, "I always fail," then your life will reflect the prophecy you're fulfilling. That's why it is not just about positive thinking. It's about truthful thinking, not fantasy, not fake optimism, but truth that pierces through the fog and brings clarity, even when it hurts. Controlling your mind is not about escaping reality. It's about mastering it, facing it, dominating it. You don't run from your weaknesses, you confront them. You don't avoid your past, you redeem it. You don't suppress your emotions, you discipline them. Real power is silent. It doesn't scream to be seen. It stands unshaken when storms rise. And that kind of power is only born in the fire of mental discipline. Understand this. Your mind is the garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. What you water grows. If you feed your mind with fear, you will reap anxiety. If you feed your mind with bitterness, you will reap resentment. But if you feed your mind with resilience, you will reap breakthrough. If you feed it with gratitude, you will reap peace. If you feed it with discipline, you will reap freedom. Some of you are still haunted by voices from your past, voices that said you weren't good enough, smart enough, wanted enough. And though those people may be gone, their words still echo. That's how deep the mind runs. But hear me, just because those thoughts visit doesn't mean they get to stay. You can acknowledge the pain without giving it permanent residence. You can hear the voice of the past and say, "Not today, not anymore. This mind is under new management." You must become fierce in the way you guard your inner world, not soft, not passive, fierce. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your home and destroy it. So why allow foreign toxic thoughts to do that in your mind? Every time you accept a thought that belittles you, you give it power. Every time you entertain a fantasy of failure, you weaken your foundation. But when you choose thoughts that build, thoughts that strengthen, thoughts that align with your future, your whole life begins to ride your circumstances. May not change overnight. Your emotions may not follow immediately, but your mind can be trained. It can be transformed. And when your mind changes, everything else begins to follow. That's the secret no one talks about. The power isn't in the event. It's in the interpretation. Two people can go through the same storm. One comes out broken, the other comes out bold. What made the difference? Not the storm, the story they told themselves in the middle of it. So, what's the story you're telling yourself right now? Is it one of defeat or one of development? Is it, "I'll never make it," or is it, "This is building me"? Is it, "I can't take any more," or is it, "I was made for this battle"? Shift the story and you shift the storm. But be patient with yourself. This is not an overnight transformation. It is a lifetime of choosing higher thoughts, of rejecting lesser lies, of speaking life to the dead places in your soul. And even when you fall, because you will fall, you do not let that failure become your identity. You rise. You reset, you rebuild, because that is the mindset of the unshakable. The fire in your life is not there to consume you, it is there to refine you. The pressure is not there to crush you. It is there to call out the strength that's been buried under years of doubt, fear, and conformity. And that strength will only rise when you command your thoughts to bow to a higher standard. So fight for your mind like it's the last piece of sacred ground on earth. Fight for it like your future depends on it, because it does. The chains around your potential are not physical, they are mental. But here's the good news. The mind can also break what the mind fears. The mind can also face, and what the mind believes it becomes. Your next breakthrough doesn't need more talent, it needs more mental clarity. It doesn't require perfection, it requires consistency. One thought, one moment, one powerful decision at a time. Train your mind to see pressure as preparation. Train it to see obstacles as opportunities. Train it to see resistance not as a reason to quit, but as a signal that growth is near. You are more powerful than you think, but you will never walk in that power until your thoughts align with that truth. Stop waiting for the world to give you permission to think differently. Stop waiting for circumstances to justify your strength. Think strong now. Speak strong now. Let your thoughts catch up to the greatness that has always lived inside you. And listen closely, because I speak this with urgency. You do not have to be perfect to take authority over your mind. You just have to be present, fully awake, fully engaged with what is happening inside you. Because the tragedy of many lives is not that they were weak, but that they were absent. Absent from their own thoughts, absent from their own thoughts, absent from the choices they were making, absent from the war going on between the truth and the lie, the higher path and the lower pole. Your life will never rise above the level of your awareness. And awareness, raw, honest awareness, is the beginning of transformation. There comes a moment when you must say enough, not because you have everything figured out, but because you refuse to let your mind drag you through another cycle of regret, comparison, self-doubt, or bitterness. The longer you let those thoughts run freely, the more they build a structure, a belief system, a false reality, and once a thought becomes a belief, it begins to control every decision you make, every relationship you form, every opportunity you either pursue or avoid. But you were not made to live trapped by invisible chains. You were not designed to live a life shaped by fear or shame. You were made to rise, not once, but daily. Every morning you must rise and remind your mind of who's in charge. You must rise and speak to yourself with authority, not weakness, not emotional desperation. Authority, this is the direction we're going today. This is what I'm choosing to believe. This is the kind of energy I will allow. This is the focus I will maintain. Your thoughts are like wild horses. If you don't direct them, they'll run you into destruction. And hear this. What you feed your mind in private will eventually show in public. You can't fake mental freedom. You can't pretend to have peace when your inner world is a storm. You might fool others, but you can't fool yourself. And deep down, that lack of peace, that inner restlessness, it's your mind crying out for order, for clarity, for restoration. And the only way to restore it is through the relentless practice of mental discipline. The person you are becoming is hidden in the thoughts you're tolerating. So if you want to shift your identity, change your patterns, if you want to rewrite your story, confront your thoughts. Don't wait for a breakdown to wake up. Don't wait for a crisis to take control. The moment to take ownership of your mind is now, not tomorrow, not next month, not when you feel better. You must act before you feel ready, because the feelings you want only come after the discipline. People ask, why is it so hard to control my mind? Because you've trained it, often without knowing it, to be reactive instead of reflective. You've trained it to obsess over what's wrong instead of what's possible. But just as your mind was trained into weakness, it can be retrained into strength. You can teach your mind to rest In the midst of uncertainty, you can teach it to focus when distractions scream. You can teach it to see possibilities in the middle of impossibility, but only if you stop treating your mind like a runaway machine and start treating it like a sacred tool. Stop saying, that's just the way I think. No, that's the way you've allowed yourself to think, but today you can take that power back. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts. You are the observer, the leader, the one with the power to choose when the storm of negativity starts to rise. You can either drown in it or rise above it. And the only difference is choice, will. You choose thoughts that build or thoughts that break, thoughts that fuel the fire or thoughts that calm the soul. Don't underestimate the power of small, consistent corrections. One strong thought can reroute 1,000 weak ones. One moment of mental clarity can disrupt years of confusion. You don't need a perfect mind to change your life. You need a directed mind, a mind that moves forward with purpose and refuses to entertain anything less than truth, peace, and inner strength. There will be days when doubt knocks on your door. Like an old friend, don't let it in. There will be moments when your own voice turns against you, whispering that you're not enough, that it's too late, that you've failed too many times. Silence that voice, but with noise, but with truth. You've come too far to go back to those patterns. You've endured too much to be ruled by the same mental chains that once held you down. Train your mind to respond, not react. Reactions are impulsive responses, are intentional, and intentional thinking, consistent, focused, grounded thinking is what separates the empowered from the defeated, the average from the unstoppable, the surviving from the soaring. You cannot live in freedom with a mind stuck in bondage. So break the cycle, and when it tries to rebuild itself tomorrow, break it again. Your mind was not designed to be a battlefield forever. It was meant to become a sanctuary, a place of vision, a place of renewal. But sanctuaries don't build themselves. They are carved with pain. They are built with blood and resolve and silent victories in the unseen places. And they stand not because storms don't come, but because someone chose to stay and strengthen the walls. So choose your thoughts like a warrior selects weapon. Choose with discernment. Choose with fire. Choose with the knowledge that your mind is not just where you think, it's where you live. If you don't own that space, something else will. And what owns your mind eventually owns your life. Speak life to yourself. Speak discipline. Speak peace. Speak focus. Not once, not when it's convenient, but daily, hourly if you must. You will feel foolish at times. You will feel like it's not working, but keep going. Mental freedom is not a moment, it's a lifestyle, and those who master it will not be ruled by the world around them. They will rule from the inside out. Your mind is the battleground where destiny is either built or buried. Not in the chaos outside you, but in the silence within you, that silence where the arguments begin, the silence where the voices of the past come knocking, the silence where every insecurity screams to be heard. And right there, in that sacred, private space, you must rise, you must answer, you must take the authority you forgot you had, because if you don't confront the noise and the silence, it will confront you in the storm. The most dangerous thing you will ever do is leave your mind unchecked. That's how anxiety becomes identity. That's how pain becomes a permanent lens. That's how defeat becomes your default reaction. But you were not created to be passive in the face of pressure. You were made to resist. You were made to stand, and you were made to reclaim every inch of your thought life that was stolen by fear, shame, addiction, rejection, and hopelessness. Do you know how a person breaks mentally? It doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually, thought by thought. One compromise, one unchecked emotion, one bitter memory revisited too many times. That's how strong people become silent sufferers. That's how brilliant minds lose clarity. That's how hope dies in slow motion And yet, the same way your mind was broken, it can be rebuilt. Slowly, powerfully, brick by brick, thought by thought, you can reconstruct a new internal world, one that is rooted in clarity, not confusion, purpose, not panic, strength, not scarcity. This isn't about just thinking positive. This is about thinking powerfully. It's about owning the narrative that plays in your head when no one else is listening. It's about refusing to be bullied by your memories, refusing to be seduced by your triggers, refusing to let the world dictate what has already been planted inside you. You were born with the capacity to choose your focus. And what you focus on becomes what you feel. What you feel becomes what you believe. What you believe becomes the life you create. If you want to change your future, start with your internal vocabulary. Listen to how you speak to yourself when no one's around. Is it with compassion or criticism? Is it with faith or fear? Is it with conviction or compromise? Because the words you whisper in solitude are more powerful than the praise or blame of 1,000 people. That's where character is shaped. That's where power is developed. Not in the noise of the crowd, but in the stillness of your mind. You must begin to see every thought as a seed. Some seeds bring peace, others bring poison. Some will grow trees of confidence, vision, and discipline. Others will root themselves in anxiety, resentment, and delay. You decide what seeds take root. The mind is fertile ground. It does not care what you plant, but it will grow what you allow. So guard the soil, protect your atmosphere. Speak to yourself with the same fire you'd use to save someone else, because the truth is, someone is depending on you. And if you've lived in mental torment, in fear and confusion, in the prison of overthinking, hear this. You are not broken. You are not too far gone. Your mind is not your enemy. It's your territory. And anything that has invaded that territory without permission must go. The pain, the old labels, the shame-filled memories, they were never meant to define you. Your mind can be renewed, it can be rewired, it can be restored, but only when you make the decision to reclaim your mental space with discipline, daily action, and unwavering focus. The most revolutionary act you will ever do is to choose your thoughts on purpose. It is a rebellion against the world that wants to program you to be passive, reactive, and but not you, not now. You were made for more than mental survival. You were made for mental dominion. You were made to command your inner world with the strength of someone who has walked through fire and come out with clarity. Because clarity is power, and the clearer your mind becomes, the more powerful your decisions become. Now, you don't need a perfect life to have a powerful mind. You just need consistency. You need that moment each morning when you look yourself in the mirror and remind your mind that it does not run the show. You do. You need that moment at night when the old thoughts try to creep in and you declare, not today, not anymore. You need that hour of stillness where you listen deeply, breathe fully, and reset the rhythm of your soul. Because no one will fight harder for your peace than you. No one else can win that war on your behalf. It's your ground. It's your battle. And it's your victory you're not a victim of. What you feel, you are not bound by what you've been through. You are not imprisoned by what you think unless you choose to be. You are not what happened to you. You are not the label they gave you. You are not the mistake you made. You are the voice that decides what stays in your mind and what gets cast out. And that voice must grow louder than the voice of doubt, fear, and discouragement. So I challenge you right here, right now, to take back your mental throne, to stop waiting for peace to magically appear and instead create it from within, to stop begging for confidence and build it with every courageous thought, to stop wishing for clarity and forge it through focused decisions. You hold the key. You've always had it, but now is the time to use it. Not someday, not when life gets easier. The door to a new mind is unlocked by discipline and the courage to walk through that door is not found in emotion, it's found in commitment. When you commit to mental growth, your life cannot stay the same. Your energy shifts, your vision clears, your confidence ignites. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Because the moment you decide to control your mind, you stop being controlled by everything else. And when you finally understand that the mind is not just a battlefield, it is a kingdom, you stop living like a prison, begin to rule like royalty. You stop bowing to every passing emotion. You stop entertaining every intrusive thought as if it has a right to remain. You stop giving away your peace to people who never paid the price to earn it. You stop waiting for the world to validate what you already know. Deep inside, you were born to reign over your inner world with clarity, courage, and conviction. 'Cause hear me, when your mind is clear, your steps are precise. When your mind is strong, your boundaries are firm. When your mind is disciplined, your spirit becomes unshakable. You don't beg for focus, you embody it. You don't collapse under pressure, you rise through it. You don't fear solitude, you thrive in it. Why? Because your mind no longer terrifies you. Your mind has become your servant, not your master. But the world will not applaud you for this. The world wants you distracted. It wants you reactive. It wants you addicted to noise. It wants your mind enslaved to shallow entertainment, comparison, and confusion. Because the moment your mind is free, truly free, you become untouchable. Not arrogant, not unfilling, but anchored. And when you are anchored, storms don't drown you, they reveal how deep your roots go. Some of you listening have lived too long in mental chaos, too long walking on the edge of emotional cliffs, too long letting fear be the loudest voice in your head. But today there is a line being drawn in the sand. Today your internal thermostat shifts. No more hiding. No more rehearsing pain. No more letting the weight of old wounds bend your back and blur your vision today. You rise not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And let me speak to the one who's been trying to heal their mind in isolation. You don't have to walk alone. You're not the only one fighting silent wars, but you must take the first step. You must decide that enough is enough. You must build your mental walls with bricks of intentionality, discipline, and awareness. Because peace doesn't visit the passive. It inhabits the prepared. And clarity doesn't come to the wishful, it comes to the warrior. If you knew what was on the other side of your discipline, you'd never waste another thought. If you could see the doors your new mindset will open, you'd never entertain another lie. If you could feel the strength of a fully awakened mind, you'd never again bow to the voices of mediocrity. This is not just about feeling better, this is about thinking on purpose. So you can live on purpose. Let your vision be bigger than your excuses. Let your standards be higher than your moods. Let your purpose speak louder than your pain, because when your mind aligns with your highest calling, the world around you begins to shift. You no longer chase validation, you carry self-respect. You no longer wait for peace, you create it. You no longer fear the unknown. You walk into it with boldness. And yes, there will be resistance, but resistance is a gift. Resistance builds resilience. Resistance reveals how bad you want to change. Every time an old thought rises, it's an opportunity to exercise your authority. Every time fear whispers, it's a chance to reply with resolve. Every time doubt comes knocking, it's a moment to declare, I no longer live there. You must become fierce about your focus. You must protect your mental sanctuary the way you would protect your most prized possession, because it is your mind is your most sacred battlefield, and whoever controls it controls your future.